Hi, I'm Foster Turtle, and Sid Fish and I worked on another Game Jam game last week. We took a break from Hex Strikers, our current project,
Wishlist on Steam,
to make a fun little puzzle project we called Packing. This year, the theme for Vimjam, hosted by Vimlark, was Cross Paths, and the focus was checkpoints. We settled on an idea pretty quick, the back and forth thought process bouncing from trains to the metro and subway to cars, food assembly, and finally conveyor belts. The conveyor belt idea pushed us towards a box sorting game in a distribution center, and we started work on an isometric puzzle package sorting game using fun little drones. On the art side of things, I found a color palette and got to work building a visual identity. I designed the drone, background, and some assets to fill the room with, worked on animations for the packages and package delivery, then spent a lot of time on transitions, UI, instructions, and general polish. Oh, and Sid Fish convinced me to add some extra frames in for the cat that hangs out in the scenes, named Ben. Overall, I'm super proud of how the art turned out for this one, and it sounds like Vimlark agreed.
We just need to put that there? God, the art is fantastic.
Meanwhile, Sid Fish was hard at work on the programming side of things.
Hi, I'm Sid Fish and I was the programmer for Packing. The engine I use is GameMaker, and this is the first time I have made a game with an isometric perspective. It was heaps of fun and I enjoyed the challenge of trying something different. I coded the game so the majority of the logic runs off one script that checks whether the cursor is hovering over a tile, whether the mouse button has been pressed or held down, and what state the game is in. With regards to states, the game can be in an idle state, where the player can position the cursor over tiles and then click on one to transition the game into the dragging state, where the player can position tiles around the board. If the run button is pressed during the idle state, the game changes to the run state, and here the bots traverse around the board and are directed by the tiles that have been placed down. If the bots crash, the game changes to the crash state and is waiting for the player to reset the board and put the game back in the idle state. There is also other states for when the level is won, when the player brings up the options menu, and for when the player exits the level.
On the sound design side of things, I took a page out of Foley artists' books and tried to get creative with the sounds I used so they wouldn't get repetitive and annoying. For the treads on the drone, I used a sewing machine, and the turn sound came from a servo motor. Since there are only a handful of sounds in the game, most of them are a mixture of several layered sounds. For the drone crash, I layered 3 different sounds.
Some of the biggest programming challenges for the game was getting the Z sorting working correctly for the isometric perspective. The game for most part orders objects based on their Y coordinate that is tied to the sprite origin. This is good enough for most part, but I noticed for when an object was more than one grid block in size, the bots could clip through it. Given it was a jam game and we had limited time, the hack I came up with was to always position any objects more than one grid size up against the back wall to prevent the bots moving behind them. The other challenge I had was having the tiles pressed down when bots drive over them. As the bot's movement is locked to the grid and the movement animation gradually catches up, using the actual position of the bots to determine whether a tile should appear pressed down didn't look quite right. My solution was to create a hidden object with its own collision area that followed the animated coordinates of the bot. This is how it looks when the object is visible and now hidden. The rest of the code was made up of getting the reset working correctly, the transition effect, the option screen, the game menu and tutorial. Foster made the full animation for the transition and the tutorial, which made my job a lot easier, as it didn't require much code from my end to get it in the game. I had a great time working with Foster on another project, our third complete jam game together, and I'm super proud of the result.
I think Vimlark sums it up best when he says,
Sid Fish is kind of a beast when it comes to game jams. Always has been.
Overall, I'm just happy we made a puzzle game that makes you go,
yeah! Holy crap, that's a crazy solution.
And
you get these really cool near misses, like the solutions are really neat. I like this one a lot.
I've linked the jam build in the description, and I'll link a final build if we make one as well. That's all for now. Time to get back to work on Hex Strikers.
Wishlist on Steam.
As always, thanks for watching, and from me to you, stay positive, keep creating, and share your gifts with the world.